MMAOddsBreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. That's Scott Jorgensen getting ready to fight Henry Cejudo. Actually, you're bringing him into the UFC. UFC fight UFC 177. I'm kind of surprised that they gave you Henry as his walk-in because he doesn't always make weight. That's been one of his biggest issues is not making weight, and not like being a half pound over, 6 pounds over, 5 pounds over. You know, I'm talking about an Olympian that's in a sport you're supposed to make weight in and doesn't make weight. It's kind of weird to me. I've harassed him about it already. I've yelled all over him for not making weight at his other fights. So, but that's why I'm surprised they gave him to you because you're a guy that always makes weight. You always show up. The fight might not go. You know,
it'll go.
Okay, you think so?
I'm gonna get that purse if he don't make weight, and I'm gonna make him cut it till he's dead.
That's
the one thing to me, he's either not taking MMA seriously or his discipline is seriously slacked since he's won his Olympic medal. Either way, both good things for me. But honestly, this is UFC. It's a big show. You know, I fully expect Henry to come in fully prepared, ready to go, ready to rock. It's you know, business as usual for me. I'm fighting a killer. I'm gonna go in there and kill him.
He's 6-0. You're 15-9. You had a little bit of a, we'll get back to it in a minute where you went through a little bit of a slide. You finally got out of that slide. But you look at, obviously, level of competition, it's not even comparable. Like, your level of competition is so much higher than his. How much do you think the mentality, obviously, we've seen it with Daniel Cormier. The mentality of being an Olympian is very strong. We all know his heart. We all know his desire to win. But like you said, his discipline for actually being in the sport's questionable for him not making weight before. But now it's also, he's in the big show. He's been in the big show before in the Olympics. Do you think the UFC that UFC rattle that everyone gets when they first show up is gonna affect Henry as well?
He's been to the top of he's competing in the best, you know, competitions in the world. That pressure may not get to him, but there's also the fact that I happen to know there's not a million eyes at one time watching one guy wrestle. It's not a marketable sport. People don't watch it as heavily as they do MMA. And it's different. You're going to be safe. You're going to go in there. You're going to wrestle. You're going to be fine. You're not going to get punched. You're not going to get choked. You're not going to get embarrassed. You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to bleed. I mean, for the most part. You can go in there and do that knowing you're going to come out safe. You're not stepping into the octagon with 100% guarantee I'm coming out of there untouched. Unless you're me. I'm coming out of there untouched.
You've watched his fights, right? You've seen some of his fights?
No, I don't do any of that.
Okay, because I'm wondering, that was my next question, is I'm wondering, how is he going to hit you? His stand-up really hasn't improved that much, but it's only been 6 fights. Like, give the guy a break. He's only just started in the sport, but his stand-up's not that good, so he really can't hit you. I mean, he's going to touch you because there's fists being thrown. He's going to touch you. But he's not going to be able to knock you out, so the only way to beat you is by taking you down and holding you down. And you just came back from training with Joe Warren, who obviously is one of the best guys right now in the sport at that game, of course, being a world champ himself in Greco. Do you have any kind of did Joe? I know you just came back from Colorado. Did Joe go sit down with you when you got the call and go, look, here's what's going to happen with Henry. This is how I would approach it. This is what I think you should do as you're getting ready for this fight. Did Joe Warren put a pretty big stamp on your game plan for this fight? No,
I mean, I come from the same background as Joe. I got to stop his takedowns just like I would anybody's, though. I mean, this is MMA. It changes the game as far as wrestling is concerned. And, you know, I've been taken down by guys that I was a better wrestler than on paper.
Yeah.
Miles and miles ahead of. And, you know, I've just got to keep it in my head. There's always the option of a takedown for him. He's probably going to be looking for it more than other people. But if I keep pressure on him like I do, I don't see him. I mean, he's going to resort to poor shots. And what do poor shots turn into? Submissions. That's the way I see it, and that's what we plan on making him do. I will make him take a poor shot. I will put hands on him so bad, he's either going to want out or he's going to take a poor shot. And when he takes that poor shot, I'm going to find a way to capitalize. It's not like I came from a shitty background in wrestling.
Right.
I've wrestled some of the best in the world. I've spent time at the Olympic Training Center. You know, I mean, not too long ago, I was training with, you know, Olympic silver medalist Stephen Abbas. I trained with Joe Warren. I wrestled Andrew Hochstrasser, who just came off of Pan Am Games. championship. You know, and Andrew wrestled with me 2-3 times a week, almost every camp. My whole last fight was built. Those takedowns that I hit against Martinez, those were Andrew Hochstrasser taught takedowns that we got back to doing. And that's the thing, is Henry's never fought a wrestler like me. He's gonna have to worry about my takedowns.
You do fade in and out quite a bit of wrestling. Like, okay, now I'm a striker, now I'm a wrestler, now I'm a striker. Because you get that guy who's like, look, you're not going to be able to take me down, so I can be a striker with you now because we're going to be on our feet the whole time. Do you feel better? Like when I know which one works better for you when we look at it on paper, but what do you feel better at? Do you feel better as the striker and doing that style of you can't take me down, you take me down, I'm getting right back up to my feet? Or do you feel better as that guy that's going to hit you and take you down and get on top of you and ground and pound? Which way do you feel better doing?
I feel better like I'd fought Martinez, and a big reason of that is, you know, I'm back training with Kit and I click. You couldn't explain it any other way. We click, we get it. He gets me, I get him. I mean, he can tell me something that we've never even mentioned in a training camp, mid round or whatever, you know, between rounds, and I get it. And so we get each other. And so Kit's good for me, and he's the one guy, like, over Joe Warren screaming and everyone else in the crowd. Kit can talk to me like a friend, like we are now, and say, hey, this has to change. He doesn't have to scream at me. He doesn't have to get panicked. He just talks to me. We get it. And so the thing that he knows that I do best is when I'm playing both, when I keep guys a little bit just afraid of that takedown. The option that takedown for me is always going to be there, but I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you a lot. It's, you know, you go back and you look at my fights when I was training with Kid a lot, and it was guys like Banuelos, the Pickett wins. Those guys were still all worried about my takedowns, and that's because we made them respect the takedown. And he has to respect my takedowns, because if I end up on top of him, I'm going to hurt him.
And that's kind of what's happened with Henry, is that he's got, of his 6 wins, he's got 3 by KO, 2 submissions, and 1 decision. The KOs are coming from guys respecting his takedown, respecting the fact that at some point he's going to shoot. So they kind of get that hand drop game that they're doing, not sure whether he's shooting or not, and he cracks him on the top. Kind of like a Henderson, the big overhand righty smacks on the way in. Your style's a lot different, though. You don't hit guys like that. They respect your takedown, but you're not knowing your level and kind of catching them off guard in the middle of it. You're literally making them almost twist themselves up because you're moving, you're pecking them, you're moving again, you're pecking them. They keep trying to turn to catch you. They can't catch up with you. And then finally you shoot on them, and they're caught over their own legs. Do you feel like that your style of wrestling for MMA is a little bit more technical than say, most of the wrestlers in MMA right now? Because a lot of the wrestlers are punch, shoot, punch as they're shooting kind of takedowns, or yours is a lot more, you know, turn the corner, getting around to the side before you shoot.
Yeah, no, I think my style of wrestling for MMA, it works. Just like wrestling, the best way to shoot a guy is off an angle. You don't run right through a guy. You don't hit a double always just straight on, where guys can get an elbow down, a hand down, a block, something. They're chest low. And so a lot of my takedowns come off, you know, bang, bang. We're going to step to the side. We're going to get a little bit lateral. We're going to penetrate deep, run through you. And I feel comfortable with it. And Hochstrasser has helped me a lot over the last, like, couple months, especially with that. And not just looking to double leg and run through a guy and things like that. There's a lot more technical things that I have to go through with you, because you kind of get it a little bit more coming from a wrestling background, that you don't hit a guy with a double leg and just push through him, because there's, you know, you put them on their heels, and there's rather than locking around the hips, the hamstrings, their knees, you know, you're snaking the calves and you're rocking them to their heels where you can't backpedal when you're on your heels. I can run I sure as hell can run faster forward than you, or through you, than you can run backwards or laterally with your heels planted on the mat. And so my takedowns, especially in the Martinez fight, this last fight, came from that stuff. And you know, with Henry, he's got to respect my ground game, not just on top but on bottom. So I've been doing this a lot longer. I know where I was at when I was at his age, as far as progression into the sport of 6 fights. I know where I was at. At 6 fights, I looked for a takedown. I thought did not want to get hit, and I was afraid to. I used my hands to set up a takedown.
As I'm looking at your record, your 6th fight was Macio Page, in 2008. I mean, that's how long ago 6 fights was for you. It's been forever at this point. Yeah. So you've been in the sport. You're basically, you know, you're a senior citizen in the sport by factor being in it. Obviously not by emotion, but you've got so much more experience than a lot of these other guys that are coming in right now. But you're a weight class that is so stacked that a lot of the times a guy can be 2-0 and a guy can be 27-0, and it doesn't make a difference. Like it's so close right now with you guys at your weight class. Do you feel like that everybody new they bring in is definitely a guy that could be a contender? Like they bring in somebody new as a contender, and he's a guy who's got to be dealt with right now. He's not somebody I'll deal with him later. I'll let him get a couple more fights before I fight him. Like I want to fight him right now and get him out of the way, kind of thing, because the weight class is so stacked.
I mean, the weight class is stacked. There's a lot of tough guys, and Demetrius has done a hell of a job knocking guys off to keep. I mean, who is there? He's beaten everybody. He's fighting Chris Carriazo, a guy that, I mean, a lot of people know. He's not up there. He's not up there. And Demetrius has done a good job of cleaning out the division thus far. I feel like I would be fighting there had I not stumbled and lost the fight to Makovsky. Formiga is a toss-up. I don't really care about that fight anymore. I still don't feel like I lost that fight. But if I didn't stumble and I would have been a little bit more focused fighting Makovsky, get the win there, pull off a couple more, I'd be fighting for the title. Not the case, but this division, it's young. Demetrius is cleaning house up top. It opens the doors for a lot of quick entrances, and that's a good thing for me. You know, coming from a rough patch, I've got a lot of, I go out there and fight impressively, and who knows? Demetrius knocks off Carriazo, and who's next that he hasn't beat? I mean, he's beat McCall technically twice. Mm-hmm. Well, he's 1-1 or one in a draw, and Dodson.
Yeah,
Dodson's out. McCall's fresh, so McCall might get one. But I mean, I'm right there. And
you're basically that was my next question. Was like, do you think with this win, if you decisively beat up Henry and then get in there, that you're an injury away or one fight away from being in the title shot now? Because there's really no one left that just because of Demetrius has beat everybody else. It's a battle for number 2 right now at the weight class. The top guy is taking over, kind of like when GSP ran the weight class. Kind of like when Anderson Silva ran the weight class when they were the champs, that they kind of ran through everybody, was fighting for number 2, really, because you just couldn't beat the guy right now. Not saying that Demetrius is not the guy that can't be beat. I'm just saying that right now that's the pattern that's happening. Do you feel like this fight plus one more, or this fight an injury and you're in, or do you think it's going to take a couple of fights to get you in?
Honestly, I don't care. I know exactly how this sport works. If I go out there and perform and I win, I'll fight for that title. I'm going into my 20th fight in the UFC under Zuffa.
Yeah.
I mean, most guys don't make it 5 fights, and I'm stepping in there for the 20th time, and I know how this sport works. I know I can go out there and I perform impressively, good things happen, and that's literally all I want to do. I want to fight. I'm like Donald. I want to fight 5-6 times a year. The more you fight me, the better I get. The less rust I have, the less time off I have to be lazy and fat, and it just sharpens me. And so I want to go out there, perform impressively, walk out of that cage against Cejudo with no injuries. And I sure as hell may be pushing to fight late September, early October, or if somebody gets hurt. Shit, I honestly I would give anything to go fight in Japan at Saitama.
I've been there before. It's nuts. It's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different ballgame when you're over there. And it's worth it. And trust me, it's worth coming off and being like, you know what? It's kind of like to spend a little time at home. Let's spend a little more time gaming. You know what? I'm gonna put on the side. I'll do it over Christmas. I'm gonna take some time and go to Saitama. I mean, it's worth it if you can get it done.
This is what I want. I mean, I would love to fight on that Saitama card. Only, it's like it's Carver Hawkeye. It's like wrestling a Carver Hawkeye. It's something you want to do, man.
No matter where you go to college, you get a chance to wrestle in Carver Hawkeye. It's like that's the one thing you dream of the whole time.
1-0 in Carver Hawkeye.
I'm what happened to me? Oh, they didn't wrestle me. We had the national duels there. They didn't wrestle me. They forfeited against me. Yeah.
I'm 1-0 at Carver Hawkeye. That was fun.
Dude, there's very few people that can say that. Very few walking to that place.
I was coming off an injury my senior year, I'd been out 3 weeks of a really bad high ankle sprain.
Oh, wow.
And it was my first match back right before Pac-10s. Like we had that duel with Iowa, and then Pac-10's the week later, and I needed a match. I needed to get back on the mat. And so we went, and I wrestled Daniel Davis. And he's a freshman, and I know they're tough. Shit, but I haven't been on the mat in 3 weeks in a match, and I grinded out like an 8-4 win. And the whole time, the stadium was insane. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, there's nothing better. We actually beat Iowa. OU beat Iowa in Iowa. We beat them, yeah. But they didn't wrestle me. They had Daryl Weber was in at the time, and I think he was hurt or something. I was ranked higher at the time. It was kind of that weird part of the year, and they sat him. And then Daryl, of course, went on and won the national title that year. So no telling how that match would have went at that point. You know, it's kind of would have been questionable. Yeah. So speaking of Carver Hawkeye, let's talk about you and Kit. I've seen a couple photos of his depressive state after you beat the crap out of him in UFC in the game. Has he gotten any better? Are you still beating him up? Is he finally getting onto it? Because it seemed like for a while, at least from Instagram and following Facebook, it just seemed like that he just wasn't catching up to you. You just kept cracking him in the head. Is it still that way, or is he better now?
Kit's a button masher, dude. He can spam buttons so quick. The thing is, like, I'll beat Kit, but like, so we'll play with my stream viewers and stuff like that. We'll have like 2,000 people sitting there watching this bullshit. Like, it's like a TV show, and we got like, you know, a couple thousand people. We just sit here and run it like a little Q&A TV show, play games and goof off and tell them stupid shit. And he'll beat the guys that we play against, but he beats me all the time.
Really?
He'll beat them, but I beat him.
But you beat him, yeah. A beats B beats C. It's like MMA math. It doesn't always work out right.
No, it doesn't. But so he's been here and he's seen me doing this streaming thing and what I do. So he wants to do it now.
Of course he does.
He loves it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right up Kit's alley. He's a showman. And so we literally, like, he had to leave for a few days, like the other day. So he's like, all right, so I'm gonna do this. And so he bought like $1,500 worth of streaming equipment, like everything. So he got the full setup. And then like I switched the streaming service I was with. There's a big major gaming website that's called MLG. And they host the big tournaments. That's where all the competitive stuff's done. And they started streaming. And they partnered me immediately. I get, you know, all the revenue and all that stuff. And they stuck me on their channel. And they only have like a limited number. And so I emailed the guy. He's a big fan of MMA. And I was like, hey, Kit wants to do this. And he's like, all right, no problem. We'd love to have him. Let's get him a channel. So Kit's going to be, never having done this. I mean, he's got experience broadcasting and being in front of a camera, but never having done this. We're going to, after the fight, we already set the date. We're doing like a little man trip to Vegas. Like me and Joe Warren and a couple of my other college buddies. We're going down there. We're going to goof off. I'm going to help Kit set up his stream stuff.
Oh, geez. That's going to be, you're never going to get Kit on the phone anymore. He's going to be too busy on there trying to game. Once you get him started.
Dude, it's insane because it's something we do. Like I do it now. Like I game to relax, like we were talking last time, and now all I do is push a button and it starts streaming, and I sit here, I play games, and you know.
Do people when you stream? So like, say we get off right now, the interview, you get done, you're like, I got a couple minutes, I'm gonna start gaming, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit a button, and hit stream. Do people get notification? Hey, your channel's up, or is it you got to put it out on all your social networking and say, hey, come join me, or how do people find out about it?
Well, I do that, but if they follow me, they get either an email or like if you have the app, it notifies you and everything, and then, you know, people come in, they hang out, watch, you can type in chat, like, so I'm not like a lot of the really big Call of Duty pros, they just don't ignore shit because no matter what, people are going to watch them, but I'll sit and bullshit with people.
Yeah.
I'll sit and answer
questions. You just talk to your headset? You read what they say and you talk back to them?
Yeah, I'll just read, like, if I, between games or whatever, I'll sit and answer questions. I'll do, like, little mini Q&As and just, you know, we play UFC. Whenever I play UFC, I'll just play viewers. So it gives people a different interaction and gives them a chance to, like, kind of connect and play and do things like that. And it's actually worked out real well. MLG's was interested in sponsoring for this fight, and they got a hold of me too late, so getting all the proper paperwork done, we couldn't get it pushed through. But like they're huge fans of MMA. So it's pretty cool. Like the crossover between the two worlds is so closely related. It's unreal.
I know. I put up my Throwback Thursday photo today. It was of me when I lost my bet to Michael Schiavello in on New Year's Eve over in the Saitama Super Arena is where we were actually, and I had to put a cosplay wig on and lipstick on and wear that for the rest of the broadcast because I lost on the I forget what fight it was, but I lost the bet on who's going to win the fight. And that hit, just because I put cosplay in there, that photo has been crushed. Like, everyone's banging on it just because of cosplay. So I can't even imagine if, I can't even imagine how many viewers they get from fighting, from MMA, from UFC that come on to MLG Gaming just to watch, people stream and play these games. It's got to be astronomical. It has to be nothing.
Oh, I mean, let's see. I switched over from Twitch. Twitch in about 6 months in 6 months of streaming on the Twitch website, I pulled like 600,000 viewers. On MLG already going on 2 weeks today, I've hit a little over 100,000 views in just a week.
Oh, wow.
So in like a week of streaming, I've hit about 100,000 views. So, I mean, or 2 weeks, I'm sorry. In 2 weeks of streaming, I hit 100,000 views, and I'm new to theirs. Like, Twitch and MLG people are like, it's like two different worlds. Like, the Twitch people don't like the MLG, so I'm kind of reaching a whole new demographic, and for me that's huge. Like, I've hit 100,000 in 2 weeks of streaming, so I pull like a couple thousand viewers a stream, and
wow,
reach a whole new world of people that are like, oh, you fight for the UFC? Is it real? It's not all people that know what it is, and not all idiots, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I thought it was fake. Like, don't they fix guys? I say, you reach out, you get to meet a whole lot of cool people and do all sorts of cool shit. So
wow, jeez, I didn't know that. See, I got something new I got to pay attention to.
Yeah, I know, and it's great money, dude. My wife now, she's like, "Are you gonna stream tonight?"
Yeah, see, but it's like that.
Make that money.
Yeah, exactly. For as long as you can. All right, Scott, I kept you on here long enough. I appreciate you coming on here. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Hey, no problem. I got another interview starting in like 10 minutes anyways.
Perfect. So it worked out.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. We'll talk to you, man.
All right, later.